Hello YouTube, I'm Toby. Now this right here is an IBM T60 ThinkPad, and this will be the subject of today's video. Now this is a fairly old computer. I really haven't had time to research it that much. I've been busy trying to fix it a little bit, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But essentially what's inside this, there's a dual core Intel processor. It's a T25, which from what I could find is a Core Duo processor, although it says Centrino Duo on here on the computer itself. The processor is clocked at 2 GHz, so it's not that bad. It's a 32-bit processor, so we'll be running a 32-bit operating system, which in this case will be Linux. We have 2 GB of RAM, and I really don't remember if it's DDR or DDR2, but it's really not important. It's pretty slow anyway. Alright, so we have the side view right here. We have the exhaust, VGA, dial-up modem, Ethernet, headphone and microphone jack, and USB. I believe this 2.0, maybe just 1.0 or whatever, and some kind of expansion slot right here. And on the other side we have, well, the hard drive is in here. Well, actually there's an SSD in here right now. The hard drive was 60 GB and 5400 RPM. I switched it out for 125 GB SSD. Have a DVD drive and 2 USB ports again, and a Kelsington lock. Really not that much to talk about on the back. I had to take the battery out because it was bad, and actually it was causing me some errors, which took me way too long to figure out were because of the battery. Over here we have the charging port and another exhaust port. Now from the front we have an infrared receiver, we have the Wi-Fi on-off switch. Here we have our markings. It's ATI graphics, and you have the Intel Centrino. It's designed for Windows XP, which is also what was on it, but there were some complications with the hard drive, so I figured I'd switch it out. Over here it says IBM ThinkPad. We have a fingerprint scanner right here. The infamous little mouse and knob right here, and well, it's not much here. We've got some indication lights, and right there it says T60. Alright, so before we get into figuring out whether this thing is still useful, I want to quickly talk about some of the things I did to it. I exchanged the CMOS battery because the one that was in there was dead. I also took out the main battery because it was, like I said, causing some errors during the Linux installation, if you can believe that or not. Again, that took me way too long to figure out, but it works now. I also took the CPU cooling mechanism off and exchange some of the thermal paste just for good measure. Alright, so that was the video on the disassembly and reassembly. Let's fire this thing up. It's making some funny noises, but we are getting life in this little computer right here. As you can see right here, we have our 2 GB of RAM and we have our 2 processing cores. Now, what to do with a system like this? Well, my first, not my third, but my first thought is to try and use it as some type of, well, YouTube machine. So let's see if we can actually play YouTube. It does take some time to load. We are using Mozilla Firefox, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Alright, so let's fire up a video here. See if we can actually play back some video. It's definitely not going too well so far, and it would appear our speakers aren't really functioning. Oh, there we go. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but it's not it's not going too well right here. Alright, let's see what we are doing. We're at 480p. You want to go for 180? Well, this is not looking too good. I'm not sure we can actually use this as a YouTube machine. No, this is not going too well. Alright, so this is lacking way too much. I can see the timer going and the music playing, but there's nothing happening on screen. So unfortunately, using this as a little YouTube machine is probably out of the question. Alright, let's see. We are at BBC's website right now, and it's not really looking too good. Oh, I consent. Of course, I consent to anything the British want to do to me. Well, so far the internet experience on this thing has not been kind to me. Now, if you're thinking about turning one of these PCs into a gaming PC, well, there's no luck. The CPU is too old to run Steam, apparently. That's unfortunate. Now let's see how well this thing plays videos. Now this should be a 1080p video, but obviously the screen is not 1080p, but it's honestly not too bad. It's going quite well. So it's not too bad actually. Alright, so that was my little video on the T60. Honestly, not that much use case in 2021, which obviously makes sense, kind of, seeing that the processor is old and really can't do a whole lot. It did do video playback quite okay, but then again, with the small screen, I doubt you'd want to use this for videos. But if you're desperate, yeah, you could watch some videos on this, and you can browse the internet, read some email. That's pretty much all these things is capable of doing. I don't have any ancient games to play on here. I pretty much only have the Steam one, so it's too bad we couldn't try the Steam games, but that is what it is. Now that begs the question, why do I have this thing? Well, I got my hands on it because I thought it was pretty fun. I do kind of like trying to play around with well, it's not old technology, but older technology, and try and see if I can, especially if they have a problem like the CMOS battery or something like that. I like to disassemble things and try and see if I can fix them. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching.